Hello and welcome to the show, and Merry Christmas to all of you. As is tradition here on this channel, Christmas time means the Scalextric comes out and the cats get to have a little bit. Well, Eve wanted to have a bit of a play before the track was even built. I'd barely finished doing an even basic layout here, and Eve had decided to park her butt where I was building the track, as you know, as you do. And then they were curious about the little power control unit. Of course, since the last time the cats had some Scalextrics to play with, I have got considerably more. Last year, around January time, I got a very, very, very large amount of Scalextrics. So it's good tracks, all digital stuff. Not that that's really being used today, of course. This was the layout that I kind of opted for. The cats were helping. Decided to use my office for this rather than the diner room. The diner room's kind of the dog room at the moment. So yeah, I turned my office into it. It worked pretty well, actually. It's an interesting layout. I'm quite happy with this one as far as it goes. There is a mega bridge that goes across the track, and yeah, that was it. That was it completed. So it was time to run the cars. We started, perhaps one of my favourite cars I have from the set. It is a Skyline, and immediately Cass is interested. Eve is also very curious about said car, but it is Cass that wants to act like a kitten. Eve parks front on the track. Yes, you see, my cats have figured out that basically if you stand in front of the track, cars can't move. So there we go. Yeah, Cass, I haven't seen him act like this much of a kitten for quite a while, and then me, in trying to film, had a crash. No, it wasn't the best piece of driving. This is a very technical Scalextric layout, I will say. So the car gets reset. Cass continues to park his butt in the way a little bit. Has to have a good sniff of the car. Has to have a good investigate of the car. Eve is curious. Not curious. Eve is kind of happy to sit and watch. Cass is the one that wants to jump around and chase it, although is being a little bit restrained. Cass is a far too regal cat to go completely mad in terms of chasing it, although he's definitely wanting to. There's lots of little pouncing going on from him. He's kind of pouncing around. I haven't seen that for a long time in him. He's interested normally in the cars. The paw went. They definitely wants to go. You can see the little paw tapping away as Cass is definitely contemplating chasing the car. For a second, it looked like he didn't have control of his tail at that one and was surprised by it moving around. Eve is content to watch, and then I crash it off the track a little bit. I didn't put down. Cass is going to go and have a little investigate and a little bit of a sniff. I didn't put down any of the sort of crash barriers around the track because I wanted the cats to be able to kind of get and play if they could. And then Eve has to go and get into shot. Thank you, Eve. Yes, you want to go and sniff at the worry kind of power unit, so to speak, of course. So a little bit of a reset later, and we're back to Eve on her viewing platform. Again, it's like a half tempted to chase it, but is determined to not fully go for it. Cass is with the paw ready any second the car goes by. The bridge, I'll be honest, I could have probably got the bridge a little bit smoother. It's a slight bit janky in places. I probably want a bigger run-up after a corner, to be perfectly honest. But it works at the end of the day. Eve is happy to just go and have a look at the cabinets and look at the cars that I've pulled out. She wasn't as fussed about, which actually surprised me. Of these two, it's normally Cass that is the reserved one that doesn't want to get involved. And there goes the paw. It was a first bop to Cass. I think, is that 1-0 to Cass? I think so. I think that is one boop from Cass and no boops from Eve. She would quickly find her favourite viewing platform, which is in this corner by the exit of the bridge. Yep, that was where she wanted to go, and she liked that as the I can observe over everything. Cass is playing it so risky. Now, I mean, this car can go way, way quicker around here. If you've seen my videos on this stuff, these cars are blooming fast. I am being careful because that's a very tight corner, and I do not want to slide the car and boop Cass's nose because he is determined to literally put his head on the track. And there's not much room. He's literally, a millimetre away from getting booped sometimes on that corner. I wondered if stopping and starting in front I would want to try and get a Cass to chase after the car. Eve was not interested. I managed to then beach myself, did get it going, and then mistimed it parking in front of Eve, and managed to, because of the way the elevation goes, managed to get the car just slightly disconnected from the rails, and that was that. So I swapped cars, thought I'd have a go with something different, got a Camaro out. This much quieter Camaro, this one, and a much different sound as well. quite know whether it's the tyres or, well, I presume some bits tyres, some bits motor, all of that. But yeah, this Camaro makes a very, very different sound racing around here. Eve had moved from her platform, but was continuing. There was that little side. Now she was going to do the sort of crouch and sniff, although was again going to park her face on the track. they do like these. Can we get in the way of the cars? I mean, of course, I'm always going to try and stop if the cats are in the way. Now you're going to have a big sniff session of the. I don't know if the Camaro smells any different, and then there's. I don't know whether they got surprised by each other being there. The cats very nearly got a bop from Eve. I don't know if that would be a -1 point for Eve or what, but so far they still had the sniff on the car. Cass is getting ready to go again. Eve had wandered off at this point. I think she was by the door. Cass is there ready. Oh, he's ready to pounce. Unfortunately, his pouncing doesn't consist of just lay on the track. And yeah, now we can't really go anywhere. There's a Cass in the way. Gonna give it a snap, and that's a second boop. That is 2-0 to Cass. It was only a light boop. It was only a light boop from Cass there, but there was definitely a boop going on, and almost got it over the bridge. Eve was back in the final corner. There's a little bit difficult to film. I didn't have a huge amount of space behind me to see that final corner. That's just where Eve liked to kind of sit. Cash thinking about it. Eve, nope. She kind of goes, leans down, gives it a sniff as it goes past. He's going to go for another boop. He's looking not quite. Thinks about it. You can see the paw is going. The paw is ready to try and boop the car. And no, not just yet. As it goes over the bridge. I don't know what the kind of like head. He's done it, as I said. He's done it for a very long time. When he was a little kitten chasing toys, he would always kind of do the same. Don't quite know what it is. I try to encourage Eve to give it a boop. She looks very evil there. Don't worry, she's lovely. It's just the angle she was looking at. That was a very evil-looking cat. In fact, as I am doing the voiceover, this, she's currently curled up asleep. She is lovely, but that was a look of pure evil. She was not amused by the Camaro. Again, trying to encourage her to chase it, but no such luck at the moment. Cass trying to put his face in the way of a car again. It's, you know... I had to be kind of careful at this point, because I wasn't sure if and when Cass was going to either boop it or just going to duck down to give it a sniff, and yeah, just end up sticking his face in the way. He then got interested with the Lego cars. If you put those out, he'll bat those little ones around as well. Given half a chance. The big ones, probably not so much. They might sit on it, knowing him. They're cats, right? They'll sit on anything different. They will try and sit on it. Eve was judging. Eve was just judging the driving, or judging the cat. I'm not sure which. She was just happy. She was watching the car, but not going to do anything. Cass went for a big try to get a third boot, missed it, and park his butt on the track again. So it was a miss from Cass. It was an attempt. It was a good attempt. Oh, he's off. I don't know if they made contact there. I think he was just a little far behind it. It's still 2-0 to Cass. He's trying to get the third boop in. He's not going to go for it at this moment. It's lovely to see. I know you might not realize if you do not have pets and so on, but it's been a long time since I've seen Cass act as much as a kitten as this, pretty much. He's going for a third, and just about misses it, still after it, and that's a third in there, I think. That's 3-0 to Cass so far. Eve is still just judging, and is not wanting to get involved at this moment in time. Cass is all going for it on the Camaro, apparently. More wanting to chase the Camaro than the Skyline. Just going to give it a second. Eve is still judgment in the corner. You get judged by cats a lot. That is just the way it goes. Again, you have cats. You all know the judgment that you're getting from them. Yep, that's it. That's it. She's just judging the driving. And can we encourage Cass to have another go? I'm going to go with probably not just yet. I don't think I'm actually get the car stuck, actually, on that bit of the corner. So, we reset the car. It's still 3-0 to Cass. And I got out the Aston Martin. Again, another one of my favourites. This is a very, very grippy car. It's not the fastest in a straight line, but it has a tremendous amount of grip around the corners, which is going to be useful for a track like this. Because... yeah, it's a very tight, very twisty circuit. We managed to go underneath the Cass bridge, and he's already on the prow, and he's already laid across the track. Hoping that I was going to encourage him to move as the car came around over this corner. Eve has changed her judgment spot. I wasn't going to wasn't going to find a cast moving. Nope. Although he did, I didn't actually have to shuffle the car. I think there's just the incentive to go and investigate what is it is a little bit too great. We're going back to kittenly pouncing around for the cast. Eve is now, at least Eve is better in shot. I thank Eve for the moving to a better viewpoint. Or better viewpoint in terms of the video. Cass's tail's very nearly got smacked there. You've got to be careful with the swishy tail if that ends up on the circuit. Thankfully, does not. And thinking about going for that 4th point. Not quite, though, at the moment. So, it's almost. There we go. Now he's in full kind of pounce mode. You can see the paw. It's really funny watching the paw like dance around as he's trying to think about going for it, but not quite sure. And was there contact? I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. It was definitely an attempt was made on that car. That was contact. That was 4. Cass now he just stood on the track, and we are going to. Well, I mean, with a car, I technically maybe 5. I mean that the car definitely gave a boop to the Cass, and now the car gave a boop to the Cass rather than the other way around, and now it's Eve's turn. Eve is curious. Cass has got too bigger a lead. Eve is all go on the chase after the Aston Martin, although she's got to now try and figure out what Cass was doing and how to deal with the noisy little whizzy Scalextric's car. As she's, I think as Cass got further away, I was trying to encourage her and then got a little bit stuck on the bridge. When Cass got further away, that's when Eve figured that she could have a go at this one, potentially. Cass thought about it and then ran away. He zoomed. He's off and out of the office. Is Eve going to have a go? Nope, because Cass is back. Well, I say at warp speed. She's some of the zoomies I can get. This is quite controlled from them in as far as they're sort of focusing on the car, and then I managed to bin it anyway. Got a little bit too much speed. Little bit too much speed on that outside line for the Aston Martin. So, we shall reset the car. Cass had wandered off at this point, and it was all go from Eve, and that is definitely a 1. That's 4-1 now. She's got 1 point back. She actually managed to knock the car off. It was full attack mode. Cass did come back while I was resetting the car, and decided he'd had enough. He'd had enough of the Scalextrics. He was going to sit on the window and let Eve have a go and see if she could better his score. And she was now all going for it. And that's 2, and that's 3. It's now 4-3 to Eve, managing to take the car off the track again. So it was quickly becoming a game of could I make a lap while she was all going for it. Thankfully, she calmed down for a second, so I could at least make a lap, and not quite this time around. She had to get like. I don't know what goes through the mind of a cat, and none of us ever do. She's off. She missed that one, though. Managed to outmaneuver her. She's going for it again. She just needs 1 more point. Missed it this one. Oh, and under the legs of the cat. She's all speed. I think, again, under the legs. Not quite managed to get it that time around. Again, full lunatic mode. Controlled lunatic mode. She's going for it, but the objective is not just run around like headless chicken as such. She has got an objective, and it's going to sit and observe from a different viewpoint, and it's actually difficult for me to see when she's going to pounce. And there it is. She's off across the track, across the bridge. She stood on the bridge at one point. It's full speed across, trying to get that last point. Not quite. Paws are flailing everywhere on that one, but not quite able to get the Camaro. Yeah. They could be more chaotic. Like, they were quite reserved in the joke. Once they figured out it was, once they figured out they wanted to go and chase the car, it was all paws flailing, jumping around. But there was a little pause. Then we have this little breather while she figures out what her next move is. She's still 1 point behind Cass, and then I managed to bin it. It's a difficult corner, that one, alright? It's a slidey corner. In all of that, she had knocked one of the bridge supports over. That was it, though. Not really the worst, all things said and done. So, we gave her another chance to see if she could go and get that next point. Cass was still sat up on the windowsill. He was enjoying that viewpoint, and she's off, and that's a point. It's now 4-4. Admittedly, it was more of a paw on the ground in front of the car, but I think it's going to count on that one. It was definitely a pounce at the car, so she will get a point. I mean, it's not exactly like this is the most sciencey sport, but an attempt was made. I don't know, 6.2 second lap. Not that we were going particularly. These cars could be very quick around this layout, I have no doubt, with some proper curbing and everything. She's going to have a little bit of a look. Nope. she will let the car pass at this moment in time. She's thinking about it, not quite got it over there. We'll climb over the bridge before waiting. She would actually sit under the desk for a while and decide she'd had enough with the Camaro. So, for a tiebreaker, I decided to get the Skyline out and have a go. The Skyline's quite slidey, and I immediately put it sideways. In fact, I put it sideways. It's still connected, but stuck. I asked if Eve would go and rescue the car for me, but she's a cat. So, no. No. She got over to it, gave it a sniff, and that was that. Pretty much. So, yeah. No car rescuing for me. With the car reset, Eve then decided to go and sit on the track. This was Cass's favourite spot. It looks quite evil with the lights going on. And, well, there's a fifth. There's a fifth bop, I think. We gave Cass one like that, so I think we have to give Eve one as well in that. Oh, and then it was back off to racing around. And by this point, Eve had perhaps used most of her energy. She'd figured out she can boot the cars, but can't really do a huge amount with it. So, as much as I tried to encourage her to continue the chase, that was going to be less likely, especially when Cass turned up. Because when he was here, they kind of calmed down a little bit, and the Skyline had a spin, and then they wanted to go say hello instead and ignore the car completely. So there we go. Yeah, Cass had come wandering back in, and I'd got stuck. Yeah, at the low speeds, the Skyline was very drifty. I mean, it looks. I think it's probably my favourite looking of the cars that I have now, but it is not the fastest. It does rather lack grip and require the odd kind of recovery bump. And as well, Eve parked her butt in the way once more. Tried to encourage them. Eve had another little think about it, but was generally calming down from this. You might wonder why I haven't got my dog. So I do have Apollo, I have a Belgian Malinois, and, well, he's a lunatic. And, quite frankly, I suspect things would end up broken. A lot of things would end up broken. I did think about running one of the sort of very basic cars I had around here, but because I have a bridge, it stand on the track. Yeah. He's a little bit too hyper at the moment. Maybe when he's a bit older and a bit more mature, he will have a go with the Scalextrics. Cass, or maybe I'll get a more basic layout. Cass thought about going for the cut and then decided instead to have a zoom and wander off, and that was going to be it. He was going to run out of time to get any more points on this one. Or maybe not. Maybe he's going to come back and have a look. No, he's going to have a watch. No, we're going to go play zoomies with Norway. Sure. But Eve, one last point? No, not quite. Big slide from the Skyline. She's just come over to say hello. Yeah, we will have a we will have a boop. We'll give Eve a fuss, of course. But there we go. The new Scalextrics is awesome. The cats love it. Eve won the Boop the Scalextrics car contest. After a while, the novelty's going to wear off, of course. But they were very excited to see all the Scalextrics tracks come out. I don't know whether they remember what it means or they're just excited because new stuff to sit and smell and whatnot. But certainly once the cars get going, cats love chasing Scalextrics cars. And certainly mine are very calm about it. They were very composed. It wasn't complete chaos, but they did very much enjoy knocking them off the track. Eve was in full chasey pouncy mode around there, and it's always is good fun. I hope you have enjoyed the yearly FailRace Christmas cats. I then also got the car stuck on the bridge. Yeah, need a little bit of work on the bridge design. Track layout I was happy with, at least. And there's Cass. Gonna have one last little investigate. But there we go. Yes, that shall be it for this video. I hope you are all having a great Christmas, or if you're watching this afterwards, hope you've all had a great Christmas. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.